It's InGame Live Prime Time right here on a wild, wonderful Wednesday. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for the next 2 glorious hours, taking you right up until 10 p.m. Eastern Time, watching, analyzing, and most importantly, betting and hopefully winning with the boys in Vegas on a little college basketball tonight, a little NBA. We only get 2 hockey games, only a slow Wednesday night. Usually Wednesdays and Fridays are slow, and then Thursdays and Saturdays are the big days in hockey. So we got a couple things, though, we can bet on. We're going to go back to the Dodger board, try and figure out ways to beat the boys in Vegas with the Dodgers. I'm not going to give this up. I'm not going to allow a team to win 105 games and us not be able to win some money on it. So we'll check in on that as well, Dave. So what are you rocking there? Little L.A. Clippers, I think. Nice. Not bad. You're on the Clippers side. Big matchup in L.A. between the Lakers and Clips.
Yeah, I heard you talking about the Clippers and stuff with Ranieri, game time decisions. And you want to forget about the Clippers past and the rebranding and all that. I love the Clippers past, but I love the Clippers where they're going. This season, really think they can win the West and get to the NBA Finals. They're playing the Lakers tonight. And people used to come in the book on a regular basis and go, boy, the Lakers are on the road. Okay, Lakers on the road. They're in the same building. They're not on the road.
Yeah.
They're on top, but they're not on the road. So you sometimes get a mislined game, I think, sometimes. People, they overvalue the Lakers. It's not a road game. It's only 3.5. We'll be on the Clippers tonight.
Yeah. The San Diego Conquistadors, were they not in the ABA, if memory serves me right?
That's where they started. They started as the Conquistadors. You are so old that you know these references.
I know.
That's good.
I know.
Like, you don't have to Google anything. Like, the kids got to use this Chat GPT and Google and stuff. We remember that. The Conquistadors was my fantasy sports team name for everything. I had the
Really?
Chippewas
Cool.
was my hockey team, and the Conquistadors was my fantasy baseball team for that specific reason. So, yeah, I love the old Clipper stuff, but I don't know. That'll be later for tonight. We got college basketball. Pretty good card tonight. I mean, a couple games with ranked teams, but there's other games that, they're on the card, and they become bettable because there's no hockey tonight.
Right. I was telling Joe, hard not to bet the under in Virginia, right? I know Boston College, and they're going to tip off here in about an hour, but I think they're a 9 o'clock start. Some weird start time, so be careful tonight. I already lost out on a game that I thought was starting later, and then I got another game that I bet on that I thought was starting at 7 o'clock. That turns out is starting later. So be careful tonight. It's kind of a weird schedule. But Virginia is so bad right now, Dave, right? And I was telling Joe, they got embarrassed their last 2 games. They scored 44 points, I think, in one of the games. Not much more in the other. So, but they come out, unlike other teams that come out flying and score, they play defense. So when they come out flying, it's not to score, it's to play even better defense. So 128, 127.5, not a lot of points, obviously, but that's 65-60 still going under. To me, this is more like 60 to 55. Virginia, crucial game. They're on the bubble. I don't know. I like the under in that game a lot.
First team to 60 wins. That's where I'm thinking as well. So, one of those ones that you got to be cautious laying that 1.5 on the road. It looks so easy, but nothing's easy with Virginia. BC takes a little bit of gumption in the nether regions to actually lay it. You go, okay, give me Boston College. And you look at their numbers and you go, I don't know. I like the total best. I'm with you. Under.
Yeah. I like the over, and there's 2 overs I like too. They're big numbers, one a little bit bigger than the other. First one here starts in a couple of minutes. Richmond at St. Louis. Richmond, one of the better teams in the A-10. St. Louis is not, but they score a ton of points. Used to be a great under team, the Billikens, but not anymore. They just score, and score. And what I like the over on this one, Dave, is that they're the home team. And they're the worst team. So Richmond's got to get their points just because they're one of the best teams in the conference. And St. Louis at home, I think, is going to be able to get their points. So I like the over on that one. And the same thing with Alabama and Ole Miss. Two better
Yeah.
teams, but Alabama wants to run and gun. Ole Miss has shown they don't really have a problem with that. 7-2 over last 9 home games. You know Bama's going to get their points. That's 166.5, a little bigger number, but if it doesn't get there, it's not because one coach has decided to take the air out of the ball. And so I'll take my chances that gets to 167 points.
Let's work it in reverse on those. The Alabama game, you saw them get run out of the state. Forget about getting run out of the building. They got run out of the state against Kentucky. Expect them to shoot better, but they just keep shooting. Now, you need a dance partner to get over 166. I think Mississippi will do enough to get there, but if you got to pick one team total to go over, for me, it's Alabama. I feel like they'll respond. You catch them at the low point here after. I mean, I think if we take a minute, Kentucky might have just shot another 3 and scored again. They put up 112 on them. I mean, that was one of those days. You just, if you had Kentucky, it was smooth. If you had Bama, it was over quick. But tonight's the bounce back. I think Bama team total over and Bama game over. Pretty good place.
Yeah. Any games going on right now that you liked? I like the over in Tennessee Auburn. It's 44-40. That's on a pretty good pace. 162. That was 152.5. I was a little surprised it was that low. Tennessee can run and gun at home. Both teams ranked. I thought that should have been more in the 155, 156, even 157 range. So pleasantly surprised at a 84-point first half.
Got to be careful with those totals over 150. You don't see them move as much, and sometimes they come wrong, lower 150s when they should be higher. Just because, as the book, as soon as you put up 155, 156, you take a bad guy bet under, and you're good. So you inch those up. Doesn't mean it's not the right side. I agree with you. I like that game over. Tennessee's been really good at home. You look at their home road splits. They cover the bigger numbers at home. So you get around that 7-8, that's my hesitation number, but I'm leading Tennessee in the side, but I'm with you. Like the total over. We didn't even trade notes before the show.
How about this?
And it ended up on a lot of the same sides. I like this. After you hit that same game parlay yesterday, which we'll have here next segment and stuff, I don't even know. I was surprised. Well, it only played plus 850. That's all. So I figured you might be gone for the rest of the week, but I'm glad you came back in today.
If it paid the 28-1 like our Matthews bet, I wouldn't be here today. But
the only thing it didn't hit last night. He didn't score last night. That was like the only thing that we could have used. Now we got to go into Thursday needing a hat trick on leap year, 29th of February. If he gets 2, I'm going to be sad. I want him to get none or just get 3. That'd be great.
Right. Yeah, give me the pain. Imagine if he gets 2, and they pull a goalie for like 3 minutes and he doesn't score.
Point guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
You got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time. Hour number one, Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan. Always here every Tuesday and Wednesday. Just getting the show underway. Touched on a little college basketball last segment. How about some NBA? How about a little SGP, same game parlay time? All righty, we're going to go with the NBA, which, oh, by the way, we a little cha-ching, plus 850 or so last night with our SGP. Thank you very much, Houston Rockets, for flopping as we figured they would do. So let's make this two in a row, shall we? This one's going to go with the Denver Nuggets and the Sacramento Queens, as we like to call them. 6 pieces. We're going to take Denver, laying the 8 at home against Sacramento, playing their third game in 4 nights. They're going to be crushed. We're going to take Denver from basically start to finish. We got them leading at the half, minus 260. I'll gladly throw that in. I got Jamal Murray, over 21.5 points. His numbers are pretty low, but, at home, big game, De'Aaron Fox there. I think he's going to want to say, okay, I'm the king over here, not you. Give me Murray then with 3 2-pointers. Or check that, 2 3-pointers, not 3-2. So 2 3-pointers for Jamal Murray, minus 260. He'll get that in his sleep. We'll go with the Joker, 10-plus rebounds. He averages about 17,000, minus 430. And we'll get the Joker with 8 assists. Again, he averages about 10,000 of those a game, minus 380. Add it all up. Not a monster number, but we'll take it just the same, plus 451, 450 or so, depending on where and when you do your shopping. So, but Denver to win handily tonight, I think, is the play.
Which one beats you, Wetzel? Because yesterday we did this, and you had a 5-piece.
I'm on fire. This shirt was white before I put it on. Now it's ash red because I'm so hot, on fire.
This is why I wore red tonight, because you're on fire. Do you remember NBA Jam when you made 3 shots in a row and he would say, he's on fire? Yes, that's Scott Wetzel right now. 6-piece.
Yeah, that'll end.
You may have gone a little bit too far here. Which one gets you? I mean, I've trained my whole life in the book to see maybe what you don't see, or you see something I don't see. We're always looking for what's the next move or what's going to get you. I vote Jamal Murray. That's the one.
That's where I was going to go. Yeah.
Oh.
21.5 points.
Really?
Yeah. Because Joker gets 10 and 8 in his sleep. Honestly, those are just a given. And I do think Denver's going to be leading at the half because I think they're going to win the game. I don't think they're going to come out slow. I think just the opposite of that. So, yeah, the Murray over 21.5 points. But I'm thinking, with Fox, maybe takes a little umbrage with that and wants to kind of show the world he's the best. So,
okay.
But that would be the 21.5 points. I think he'll get 2 threes. He's at a big
I think one of
shooter,
those two. That's the one. Those are the ones you got to worry about. Jokic, I mean, doesn't he always get the rebounds? That's good.
Always, yeah.
Them covering could get you. No, that might be another one. But listen, let the dice roll. You're on fire. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. Denver at home. I think we're okay with that one. I thought about doing the money line on them as well, but it didn't pay anything. Sooner or later, you got to bite the bullet somewhere if you want to get these odds up. And they do, Dave, as you know. They really do whack you. Sometimes I didn't check tonight, but if you took all those odds, forget about the bet, but just did the odds, I guarantee you it would pay more than $451, right? But they correlate. You think Denver's going to cover, and now you're going to bet them to lead at halftime? Of course they're going to lead at halftime if you think they're going to cover. If you think you're going to get Jamal to get 22 points, you're not going to get a full value if you go then over 2 3-pointers, because obviously if he gets 22 points, chances are pretty good he's going to get at least 3 threes. So they whack those odds down. So I had to bite the bullet, and then I did it with Denver actually laying the points versus money line.
There's a lot of books that would get you on a certain list that you don't want to be on for doing a parlay like this. There's definitely some correlation in what you've done. Yeah, this would come across some guys' desks or screens, and they would go, "All right, who's this Wetzel guy?" Yeah,
right. The halftime. Yeah. I was surprised the halftime one they let me put that in. Right, the other ones, but right, that was the one that was like, "Oh, really? Okay, I'll throw it in there."
Yeah. The first half of the game usually not allowed in the same parlay. But listen, it's our book. It's our show. You can do what you want. If you got that through, that's perfect. That's it. Great. I love it.
If they missed up, they fell asleep at the wheel. Every once in a while, it's nice to have a break go your way, right? Just every once in a while, just to, throw us a bone.
Yeah.
You can't take 10 steps back. You got to take at least 1 or 2 steps forward to make sure they, bury you 10 steps back. So, we had a birthday boy.
Are you a good backpedaler?
Let me tell you something. I gave it up, and I know the guys on the podcast will appreciate it. I don't stretch anymore. I'm done with stretching. I don't have the stamina to stretch. Yeah, no, so when I referee, I can backpedal, I can forward, I can do whatever, but I can only do it for a certain amount of time. If I use up too much energy stretching, then I'm shot in the fourth quarter. So I can backpedal, but I am fearful.
I don't want to hear that.
Pop.
I don't want to hear that. That's not good news.
Stretching is very overrated when you only have so much
energy. It's not.
Energy.
It's really not. Jeez.
I mean, you stretch a little bit, but I don't want to stretch for 20 minutes. Like, come on. What am I running, a marathon? I'm using up all my energy stretching.
Do you stretch before you put these same game parlays? A little bit of this,
I do mind exercises. Yeah. I get my chair. I got my Dr. Pepper, my homemade chicken soup. Yeah. Hey.
Oh, my.
Do it all. Yeah. We got a birthday boy. In fact, we actually got 2 birthday boys, but I don't think the other guy is playing, and he's really not at that level anyway. But you never know. Luca, 25 years old today. Popular betting system. And it works a lot. It really does. Now, whether it's because it's their birthday or not, I don't know. But you bet on these NBA players, even hockey players, when it's their birthday. So now he pumped in 5 last night in the loss. So it's tough for him to kind of duplicate that. But I got to do it over 33.5. Game's underway. Let me see how many points he has.
They're rolling so far. I mean, that game looks like that's going to fly over. I think you got a pretty good.
Right. Yeah, 12 points.
That's not an original Wetzel system. This has been going on.
Can't take credit for that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't take credit for others. I can hop on board, but I won't take credit for starting that one. No.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So the birthday system, what's he have so far? 12 points.
He's got 12.
14 minutes played.
12. They bumped his number up to 35.5. And it's a close
7
game.
assists already. Wow.
Oof.
That's perfect.
Would you
7
go with
assists.
35
So
and a
he's
half?
dishing early, and then he's going to take over the
score
game in the
late.
second half. Right?
Yeah.
That's the way these things kind of pattern themselves out. Okay. I see what we're working with. All right. Who's the other birthday?
Alex Caruso of the Chicago Bulls. Not quite on the
that's
Luka
my guy.
level. Is it?
Oh. What do you mean?
How's that?
That's my brother.
That's right.
Caruso.
That's your brother from another
That's
mother.
my
Yes.
guy.
That's your guy. You're right, him. Yeah. How did I forget that?
Right, look.
It's his
There he is.
birthday. I don't know if he's playing.
What is
He's
his
got like
prop?
a hamstring.
What are we betting? Caruso props? I didn't know it was his birthday. I got to text him after the show. Oh,
how can he be your guy? You don't know his birthday. You got to give him a present.
Listen.
Opposite
you get
Picks
older,
merchandise is open.
these things.
It's available 24/7.
We should send them a hat.
Yeah.
Should send them a hat. Do you have headbands? I know we'll wear it. We got to get headbands made.
Yeah, that's that. You know what? That might not be a bad thing. I got everything else, but I don't have headbands.
Yeah.
So
I went to the Globetrotters. I should have worn this headband to the Globetrotters the other night. I really enjoyed the show. I should have worn it.
What?
Caruso, they win tonight. No? They cover?
Bulls. Yes. They're the dogs, believe it or not.
Great point guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live prime time here on the Grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan. Talk a little NBA with the birthday boys. Caruso, we got to see if he's even playing tonight for the Bulls. And then I tell you, Dave, I think Luka's going to go off again, especially since they lost last night. He's got 14 points. They're offering 40 points on FanDuel, plus 182, 45 points, plus 520. So I'm just going to play a little hunch. He's got 14, decent number, nothing crazy, but that's okay. I think he's going to get 40 on his birthday. So I'm going to put a couple shekels on 40 and a couple more on 45. What do you think?
I think 40's good. You may have stretched a little bit, and you just said you don't stretch anymore. You may have stretched it a little too far with the 45. I'm saying. I
got some money to burn from last night.
That's right. Put it all back tonight, please. Caruso's a DNP. Did not play.
How can't you play on your
apparently hurt his
birthday?
hamstring. Yeah.
Fudge.
Hurt his
This guy's
hamstring.
soft or
He probably didn't stretch. Followed the Wetzel rule. Didn't stretch and hurt his hamstring. He's out tonight. So we're not going to worry about birthday system with him.
All right.
So we'll double it up. All right, we'll double it up on Luka. That's good. That's good.
Right.
I'll go with that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything else to NBA that the game's going on? The Bulls down early against Cleveland. Minnesota's down early, but you still got only 7.5 against the Teacups. How about the over-under on that one? When's the last time you saw an over-under on an NBA game at 209.5, 208.5, where it is right now? But that's what it was to start the game. I mean, wow. Is maybe the scoring, slowing down in the NBA?
So a good friend of mine lives in Vegas. His name's Matt Jacob. He's been tweeting it every night. They went 10-1 to the unders last night.
Right.
11-0 Sunday. More unders than overs in between on Monday and Tuesday. It's at a 79% clip in the last week. Under.
It was 10-1 last night under?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. 11 games, 10-1 to the under. To the closing number, which is great.
Right.
I mean, it's great for the books. I don't know. A lot of people aren't really betting under, but I think you have to look at that. I don't know if you just blindly bet them all under. You'll
that was going to be my question.
System. That's what you would do. Like sometimes
yes,
I've seen you do this. Blanketly just bet them all under to not have to pick and choose. It's going to turn. But right now, with these, there's a lot of like back-to-backs. There's a lot of cross-conference matchups, different things like that are leading to unders. I don't think they're playing better defense. I think the shooting is getting worse. And I don't know what exactly to attribute it to. The Bulls shot 2 of 29 from three-point land yesterday. That's how they lost to the Pistons. They were favored by 10.5 at close and lost by 10 to the Detroit Pistons.
Wow.
So that's they look shorthanded tonight, too, to a lot of injuries. So probably jump on Cleveland. If you haven't already, you may have missed the boat. But Memphis, Minnesota pass, New Orleans and Indiana. I don't know what to do with the Pelicans. It feels like a fade. But the two best games, most compelling, interesting games are coming up tonight. Sacramento, Denver, and the Lakers and the Clippers. We mentioned it already. I like the Clippers. Sacramento, Denver, you got a side or a total?
I got Denver up to 9 now. Third game in 4 nights for Sacramento, although last night was the off night, so it's not the 1 off 2. It's the 2 off 1. Not quite the same. But, I look for certain spots for Denver, and this is kind of one of them. At home, it's tough to play in Denver. They always kick everybody's butt. Sacramento did lose their last game. They're kind of weird trying to watch that team. They beat the Clippers on the road. Then they are at home, and they lost to, I forget who it was, a lousy team. Now they're back on the road. They're a strange team to figure out. I like them a lot, but it's tough to get a read on them. It really is. So we brought up yesterday baseball, right? I mean, and the LA Dodgers as we inch closer towards the baseball season here. And We mentioned about how tough it'll be to bet on Dodger games. They're almost a 3-1 favorite in exhibition games. I don't know what they were today, but Davis Matta kind of picked this up on Coast to Coast today as well.
We struck out Marcus Semien, Nate Lowe, and Leody Tavares. And the Tavares one in particular, I was like, these guys are not going to have a chance. So obviously he threw 19 pitches. I'm not trying to draw any advanced conclusions. What I would say was my immediate concern was that he just was going to he's only 5'11". So that's really small for a Major League Baseball starting pitcher. It's kind of like how we talk about quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, J.J. McCarthy right now, and the dude weighs about 187 pounds. It is harder to generate the necessary force and velocity if you are a smaller guy. I obviously had not watched him pitch in a live game up until this point. He's got, I'm not a scout, so I don't know how to all the things, but just the way he delivers the ball, it's like he's springing off the mound kind of. It's very, very impressive. And if that is the product that they get, if Yamamoto is an NL Cy Young candidate, not even saying he has to win, if he's one of the 5 best pitchers in the National League and they have Ohtani and they get, anything out of Glasnow, if Buehler comes back, if Kershaw is very good, how are teams going to – they're going to be minus 380 every single game.
Yeah, that's what we kind of talked. He was talking about Yamamoto, the new pitcher they got from Japan. 19 pitches in his debut, 16 for strikes, didn't allow a run. So just did one more great Dodger player and one more guy that's going to be labeled a phenom. I tell you, it's going to be overwhelming, Dave. It really is. What do we do to bet on the Dodgers, though? That's the question. We can't allow a team, no matter what the odds, to win 100 to 110 games realistically and not be able to bet on them because you can't bet them straight. So I got a couple of things here I want to throw at you. You would know better than anybody. We're trying to find the 50-50 bet with the boys in Vegas with Dodger games this year. So first one, I know the answer to this, but I threw it up there anyway. First 5 innings bet. That's pretty much the same as a regular line, right? We're not going to get any kind of discount. If the Dodgers are minus 3-1 for the game, are they going to be about minus 3-1 first 5?
Yep. Most of the time they will, because almost every starter in the rotation is looking to go through the order 3 times. They're going to let him go into the 5th. So you're betting the starter. So you're not going to get much of a discount there. What's option number 2?
You mentioned this one yesterday, and I didn't think about it. It's you know what? That might not be too bad. Will there be a run scored in the first inning?
Yeah.
Generally that's a 50-50 bet. Believe it or not, I think most people would probably, think you got to lay odds for no, but you'd be surprised how many games do have runs scored in the first inning.
Yep.
What do you think that line will be for Dodger games? Knowing you get the top of the order for the Dodgers, you might not be able to score against the Dodgers. Although I don't think their pitching is overwhelmingly great, but you think that'll be a little bit – if Dodgers are minus 3-1 for the game, what do you think that line would be?
Oh, yeah. The yes will be the yes will be plus money. It's in a lot of situations because what are you going to bet against Glasnow? You're going to bet against Yamamoto? No. The other team's likely to not score, so you're basically just betting that the Dodgers are going to score. Now – they micro market it even more. You can probably bet there'll be markets that will the Dodgers score a run? Will it be tied? Will there be no run? There'll be some options there, but I think the prices on the Dodgers games, you'll be surprised. To bet the yes will be much less pain than the regular game.
All right. How about, forget about the odds, right? 3-1. And I think even Dave laying a 1.5 is not going to bring it down that much. You may have to realistically, to get it to be an even bet, lay minus 2.5 runs on the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Is that an option?
I don't know if you want to get into the habit of that, Scott. Yeah,
right.
That one's going to be tough. Just take the 1.5. You have to lay a little bit of juice. I know it kills you to lay the juice, but laying 2.5 may be more painful. So, I wouldn't get into the habit of that. Unless they really, the other team's a bullpen day and it's minus 450.
I had the numbers here. I don't know if we have that graphic. Yeah. So, out of the last Do I have it? Yeah. No, not the best record, but over the last 3 seasons, Dave, I don't know if you saw this or not, Dodger wins by a run and a half, by 2 runs or more.
Yeah. Yeah.
265 wins over the last 3 years, only 52 one-run wins. Now, I didn't break it down into 3 runs, but isn't that amazing? Over the last 3 seasons, they've only had 15 one-run wins last year, 15 2 years ago, and 22 3 years ago.
Wow.
That's
pretty
amazing. They just
amazing.
crushed teams. Right?
And they added Shohei Ohtani to the lineup.
Right. And Glass now to the pitching. And there's Yamanomo guy to the Japanese pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about
later
sweep
one.
a series? Are you more comfortable laying 3-1 in one game, even odds to sweep?
Oh, depending on the team against. Well, if it's 3 games, I think it's not the worst thing in the world, but you'd have to do the money line parlay and price it out. You may be getting short with even money. Just we'll work it out. We got a lot of time, but I like where you're thinking.
Yeah.
A great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, in-game live prime time. Here, hour number 1:40 past the hour. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, in until 10 p.m. Eastern time, as we always are, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Dave's here every single day. So let's talk a little college basketball. We'll put the baseball aside for a second. Colby Dan joins us now. You see him every once in a while. We've had him on our weekend show here on the Grid from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, the College Experience Podcast. It's a beautiful thing. Make sure you check it out. Colby, appreciate a couple minutes with you tonight. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. And best time of year. And look, I mean, I had to rep the hat of the show I do because I saw the Clippers hat, and I didn't have. He's got the jumpsuit too. Dave's killing it over there. Is that Eric Piatowski?
Good name. That's
nice,
yeah. This is one of those classic jackets. Good call. Yeah, the Clippers. I was saying it earlier. We'll get back to the college, but I love the old school Clippers stuff. They went corporate with that rebrand. You're out in L.A., you understand it. I mean, they got to do something to get the people to stick with them. Give the people something with this Seton Hall-Creighton game because, listen, Creighton, I mean, they went against the White Knight and the St. John's. Pitino showed up in the white suit, and it was like, uh-oh, I don't want any parts of this. But they're back home tonight, laying a big number. What do you like?
I mean, Creighton at home. I know Villanova caught them earlier in the year, and I think Butler might have got them too. But that to me is uncharacteristic of Creighton. I think it's the best home edge within the Big East, and it's that far road trip. I feel like half the Big East doesn't know where Creighton's located. You know what I mean? So you got just a tough road spot that crowd gets. Look at like 3 or 4 guys that can score, on their own, which I think always makes it such a tough guard. When you have the energy of that building with the 3 or 4 guys that can just score the ball anytime you touch the ball, I just think it's a really tough spot for any road team, especially Seton Hall, which, Shaheen Holloway's done a great job this year. They could even make the Sweet 16 or something, but they still have moments where they struggle to score. And if you struggle to score in that building, you can get blown out very fast. So I like laying the points here as Creighton jumps back into the mix.
That's such a big number, though, Colby, right? I mean, Dave and I were talking about this earlier. It's just like, you have your mind set on who you like. Like, I love Creighton just because they got embarrassed, hearing the head coach rip his club, lack of effort, this, that, what have you, by St. John. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to bet Creighton next time out. Then you find out they're at home against Seton Hall. It's like, okay, great, nice little spot. And then you see this number is up to 9.5 in some circles. And it's like, man, I expect them to win and bounce back, but do you want to count on them having to win by double digits? I mean, some of these numbers now, they've seemed to increase these by a point, 2, even 3 in some circles, just making it so difficult to react to your natural instincts.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, I feel like they're learning as the season goes along, and they get really sharp towards March. But, Seton Hall, they've been great, and they're a veteran team. I see the reasoning for being perhaps a little weary with that line. They are a veteran team. Getting Kadary Richmond was such a nice get for them the other year. But I just think Creighton at home you can trust it for the most part. You look at a lot of their outings. I understand they haven't been as good as years past at home, but they also had a couple injuries early on in the year, and I feel like now they're hitting on all cylinders, at least in Omaha. So you saw it with the UConn game. We were all over Creighton here. And I think they can do it again. I think they know Seton Hall is a tournament caliber team, and they got to stay in the mix. Seeding is still at stake here. So,
yep.
And the fact they just lost at the Garden there, and the coach is calling out his team. I just think it's a great spot to jump on the Blue Jays.
Couple points right there. We'll go to the next game. Seeding is important. You're a Pac-12 guy. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I can't believe the Pac-12 is done, but Arizona is going to Arizona State. Monster game, monster line. Now, Arizona State played the first time and got waxed, okay? So now they come home after just beating Washington State, who, by the transitive property, beat Arizona. So you coming on and saying dog live, plus the points, total over under. How about this game?
Yeah, in the Pac-12, it's a shame it's coming to an end. I blame Las Vegas and those $50,000 a night Larry Scott hotel stays. But Arizona State, Arizona State is, to me, the whole Bobby Hurley era, one of the hardest teams to understand. You look at the roster, you're like, oh, they got some guys. They played at Power 5 schools. They transferred in. Oh, this guy was a top 100 recruit. They got guys. They're just a hard team. They're the most inconsistent team, I think, over the past 5 years of college basketball. I was foolish enough to take them getting 19.5 in Tucson. First half, I was looking all right. Second half, goodbye. I think they can match them athletically. I know, Arizona, is definitely the better team here, the more consistent team. But I just think from an athlete standpoint, especially once they got those waivers in December and got a couple guys because they were a little thin on the bench. But now they got a little more depth. You saw them beat Washington State. We were all over that. I knew there was a trap game for Washington State. And I think they can stay at least within that number. And like I said, from a talent perspective, I actually believe like they can hang with Arizona. Now, we've seen Arizona have struggles on the road. They need a triple overtime to win against Utah. They lost on the farm against Stanford. So, I just think it's a tough spot for them. I'll take the points. But, yes, I'm well aware. Betting on Bobby Hurley, you could lose by 40 points. But I think this is the right side. And I would not mind a moneyline sprinkle. You've seen last year he won in Tucson. They weren't a great team last year either. And Arizona was, I had them in my Final Four and before Princeton destroyed them in the opening round. So I think it's worth taking a shot on the points and sprinkle that money line.
All right. You like the underdog Minnesota. I'm a little surprised. Getting big numbers, 11.5 at Illinois tonight.
That a lot of that might be the fact that they've covered almost every game. And I was reluctant to buy into the Gophers all year. But I got to give Ben Johnson his flowers because he's done a great job. Now, I know the non-con was a joke for the Gophers, but still, They haven't had a win. I feel like they haven't been winning since Sam Jacobson and Bobby Jackson back in the 90s. So, to me, just to have a winning season and the way that this team's kind of formed and the culture that's happening there, they've been covering a lot of these, big-time spreads on the road. And then you add in the fact that the Illini have had just a kind of a crazy season, in the locker room, but also just the fact that I don't like them as the season goes along. I love the Illini each year in November, in December. When you get closer to March, they normally sputter, and they've done that recently. I know people look back at that last game against Iowa. They covered. They won by 10. Iowa was getting 9.5. That had no business hitting. That was a 3-point game with 2.5 minutes left. Anyone that was on the Iowa side, I feel for. So we saw Maryland go into Champaign and get the dub. Maryland's one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. I think Minnesota can stay within that number. I still expect the Illini to win, but I think they can stay within that number.
You guys do such a good job over at SGPN with the college stuff. I just mentioned B-Nick with the college baseball the other day. You're looking at futures. You're looking at different things all the time. The NCAA tournament right now, I mean, Houston is the number one team. Purdue may be the number one seed, and then UConn. But after that, when you look at the list, there's a lot of – I don't want to use the word value because everyone says that. There's a lot of gold on there that have a shot of getting down to Phoenix for the Final Four. Anything on those boards or anything that people, you want to put out there, at least tonight, that they should be looking at, Colby?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Big 12 has a couple teams, and TCU, who looked terrible the last time we saw them, the other night, but I think they're better than last year's TCU team, and I am victim for saying last year, right around this time, that TCU could be a Final Four team, but then they had Eddie Lampkin quit the team. They also had an injury or two. I think this year's TCU team is better than last year's TCU team, and mainly with veterans and athleticism. I think they're just a much taller and more athletic team than they were a year ago. And then you add in Jameer Nelson Jr., who played for the Delaware Blue Hens for a while. That guy can score, and I think they have more scoring options than they did a year ago. TCU is a team. Obviously, I'm not saying national championship, but it wouldn't shock me. We saw a lot. We saw San Diego State in the national championship last year. Florida Atlantic almost got there. So I think TCU is a team to keep an eye on, and I'll stay in the Big 12 with another one. Iowa State. Now I know their odds are it's plus 400, I believe, last time I saw to get to the Final Four. Iowa State's been able to score the ball so much better this year, and they've proven it by winning on the road. Before, Iowa State was kind of like, Virginia or something, where they're going to get 53 points at the most out of them on the road. Otzelberger went out. He brought in a couple of guys, Gilbert from UNLV. I think the Cyclones, to me, could be a dangerous team in March. The way they play defense, they're a top 10 defensive team, and then you mix in the fact they got a couple of guys that can create their own shot. I think they're a team to watch out for. And then the last one, it's not going to be much of a surprise, but the Kentucky Wildcats are an interesting team to me. I feel like they're growing up in front of our eyes. Calipari always goes with that youth movement. Most years it hasn't worked recently, as ever since the transfer portal's become such a factor. But I can tell you, man, winning at the Jungle it doesn't get much harder than that. They statement game, won by double digits against Auburn, and then last night in Starkville in a tough environment, they're getting it done. That's a team to watch. Dillingham is a top 10 draft pick to me, and the more and more he gets with those veterans, I feel like they could be a very dangerous team from an athletic standpoint that anyone could face.
What do you make of Kansas losing last night to BYU? Fluke, or should we write them off? They also don't seem to be like old Kansas teams.
Yeah, I've been a little weary on Kansas all year, and now I'm hearing speculation that McCullough could be out for the year. I don't know if that's true or not, because they don't release really injury reports on that, but something to monitor there. But I can tell you, I was a skeptic even with McCullough. But McCullough, if they don't have McCullough, stick a fork in them. There's no way. To me, they're not playing defense normal Bill Self teams do. Hunter Dickinson, in my opinion, coming in with a big NIL contract, kind of, you could make the case they were better last year without Dickinson. So I know they lost a couple guys to the NBA, but I've been weary of them all year. And to me, losing at home to BYU in their first year in the Big 12 that's a shocker right there. And I would be very weary moving forward with this Bill Self team.
Coming to Vegas for any of the conference championships? You coming to town at all? Are you making any plans yet, or what?
I'm definitely coming for opening round of March Madness. Be there that whole week. But I'll tell you, the Mountain West is so good. I have a newborn over here, but I'm considering telling the wife, what do I got to do to get to Mountain West, conference championship week? Because what a story that conference is. What do I got to do? I got to fly her mom over here. I got to do something. To get to Mountain West conference championship, because man, they need to do a 30 for 30. 15 years ago, the Mountain West was awful. And now, every team for the most part is packing heat there.
15 seconds. UConn, Houston, pick a third team. I'll say Arizona or the Field.
I think I'll go UConn, Houston, and I mean, I don't think Arizona will get there, but you never know. I think I would take those three. Yeah.
Wow. All right. There you go. We always talk about, right? All these teams are able to get there, but to win 6 actual games, that's real tough. So, Colby, great job as always, my friend. Appreciate a couple minutes, and I'm sure we'll do it again before the tournament begins.
Thanks for having me, guys. Dave, I got to catch you in Vegas, brother.
See you soon. I'll pick you up.
Yes.
There we go.
Wetzel's
back
coming.
after this.
Point guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is InGame Live Prime Time, wrapping up hour number 1, but don't go anywhere as we got a full hour to go. And we're going to close out this nice little segment with not only the black cloud, Dave. This is like the double black cloud. I mean, this is really little black cloud time here on the grid. Yeah, I hate to do this to our nice guest, Colby Dan, who we have on weekends from time to time, me and Joe Madden. But we put this in before he came on. I wouldn't have done it, but I just love Creighton as well. I mean, they 8.5, they're at home. They got embarrassed. The poor head coach, he's calling out his team, lack of effort, this, that. Couldn't hit the water if they fell out of a boat against St. John's. I mean, St. John's, which went to the free throw line like twice. They weren't doing anything, yet somehow or another they were able to win the game, put almost 90 points on the board. And Seton Hall is susceptible to get blown out. But I don't know how Creighton doesn't win. If they were able to knock off UConn 2 weeks ago, or last week really, how aren't they going to beat Seton Hall even by 9-10 points? So, double bet. Give me Creighton at home in Nebraska to take care of the new boys from Jersey.
Why do you do this? I mean, why with the black cloud? We want this to win, right? We want this to win. This is 9.5 now. It's all steam. I mean, we need a steam engine train. Whoop, whoop, for the black cloud. When you move the line, you put this out, it moves the line. Colby comes on. He likes it too. And all I can think about is last night we had over in the black cloud. The Avalanche.
Don't get me started. That was the one loss. I knew there was one.
Can you believe that? It was 2-1 after 3 minutes in the game. We needed over 6.5. It was 5-1 after 2. What was the final score?
5-1. 5-1.
Where's the umbrella?
Couldn't get a lousy, stinking mother effing goal.
Rain yet?
smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back. It is InGame Live, PrimeTime, hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Yours truly, Scott Wetzel, along with Dave Sharapan here. Great first hour until the final 30 seconds when my partner here has to bring up the bad news from yesterday. I mean, I knew. We were talking in the break, and I said, I think we went really well yesterday, hit some parlays. I said, there was one bet, though, that it didn't click. I really, honestly, forgot what it was. And then Dave used the last 30 seconds to remind us about the black cloud. And it's funny, Dave, we should have got this clip. We talked about how this could lose. Like, when I did it, I said it can't lose, the usual rhetoric that I do, right? And you say, no, don't ever say that, Scott. And it's like, well, how can it win, I'd ask you. And you said, well, if it's like 5-1, right, that would be the only way. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like 5-1 because it's a blowout, know. And 5-1 it was. 5-1 after 2. In fact, 5-1 in the second period. So we had a period plus.
Yeah. This is why I get nervous with the black cloud. Like, the graphics great. The boys did a good job with it. They play it right on cue. We hit the mark every time. It's perfectly produced. It's a good play. And then you go, it can't lose, and you put it all that mush on it, and it's just, we can't blow out that bad juju off it. We can't. We try, and then last night before you got to go home, and I sign off, and everybody does the post-production meeting. I go, all right, it's 5-1 after 2. I mean, we need a goal. The problem is they're not going to pull the goalie. This is the situation. Right. They don't pull the goalie, so we don't get a shot at the empty netter. And they just kind of go through the motions in the third period. I was watching the Penguins and the Canucks, and I kept flipping back. And my daughter said, why do you keep watching this game? She said, we need one more goal. She's like, for you and that guy you do the show with? And I said, yeah. So we were like rooting for it, my 10-year-old. And she's like, you didn't get another goal? And I tried to explain it to her. I said, it's the black cloud. It's just the black cloud. So good luck if you have Creighton. The game's getting ready to start. Good luck. I hope they win.
Hockey.
By more than 9.
Hockey's the one sport, right? If you need, like, that's the one sport, and I can't believe I'm going to say this because the hockey players, they're out there with busted teeth, puck to the face. 10 minutes later, they're back on the ice. It's the one sport where they give up. Football, you're down 28 points. Fourth quarter. They're always trying to score, and maybe they're not trying to win, but, they'll dink and dunk the ball down the field. They'll get the, by the way, touchdown, right? NBA, you're down 30 points. Those subs come in, and they're going to try and score. Baseball, you're down 7 runs. That guy that gets to the plate always wants to get a base hit. It's the hockey team, Dave, that down, 3-4 goals like that. You see that a lot. In fact, I even mentioned that to you. I said, you know what? I've seen a lot of 5-1s after 1. I think I said after 1, not after 2. But I said, I've never seen a lot of 5-1s that go under because you just don't score anymore. So
you're in a really bad scheduling spot for Dallas, right? We talked about it before. We really like Colorado on the side.
Yeah.
That was really the strongest play. And again, that line was just wrong. It was just too low with the scheduling spot. If Dallas didn't have to play the day before at home, lose to the Islanders in a tough overtime game, fly to Denver, altitude, Colorado day off before. I mean, it was set up perfectly for Colorado to put one on them, which they did. But, yeah, I don't think hockey – I mean, I'm a hockey player. Hockey players don't give up, Scott. They're still trying to score. It's just that the team –
they don't.
And a goalie are playing defense to the end. There's a lot of pride at stake to get a shutout or to give up one goal. So I think that makes it a lot harder. It's easier to protect a 4-goal lead in hockey. It's very tough to come back.
Maybe that's it.
That's
right.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's very easy to protect. You just cross the red line and dump the puck and let them go chase it and have to come back, stay out of the penalty box. And, a 5-1 lead should finish at worst 5-3 if you don't score again. So
Yeah.
we could have used another goal though. That's just a bad beat. That happens. That's okay.
Yeah. Got 2 games tonight. And look at the one. I'm done. I tell you, I am done with this Edmonton Oilers team. I don't care if they win every single game the rest of the season. That's it. I had originally in our 3-league 4-team parlay, which we're going to do next week.
Okay.
We got to pick 4 teams from NBA, NHL, college basketball. We're going to put them in a round-robin parlay, which is 64 different combinations. Pays about 300, 400, 500 to 1, some even 1,000 to 1, depending on which teams we pick, right? So I had Edmonton,
Wait,
in my brain, like I'm going to use Edmonton.
Money lines? Underdog money lines?
Well, to win it all. So, like, for instance.
Futures. I thought you meant a round-robin parlay on the games tonight.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, futures. Futures to win it all. So, like, for example, I'll give you one real quickly here. For example, if we chose NBA, let's do finals.
Nuggets.
Denver Nuggets, okay, plus 420. Hockey.
Yep.
Stanley Cup.
Well, the Rangers are playing tonight. Jack's producing. Pick the Rangers.
Rangers 11 to 1. College basketball. Let me go there.
UConn.
Houston? UConn?
No, UConn.
They're the favorites.
Repeat.
All right, UConn's a favorite.
Repeat. Yeah.
That pays 404 to 1. So we took
We're taking
two
a
favorites.
vacation. If that hits, we're taking a vacation.
We're taking a vacation. So
That's a
I
vacation
had Goofy Edmonton as one of the 4 in hockey.
No.
Not anymore. I'm done with it.
Off
They're
the
down
list.
2-0 against St. Louis. At home. What is it with this team, Dave? Well, they had that 16-game stretch. They were beating everybody. You thought, okay, finally, the new head coach, they're playing the right way, this, that, what have you. And the All-Star break came, and boom, they're back to being the Edmonton Oilers. Back to being the old dopey Edmonton Oilers. They can't win, give up a ton of goals. No faith in them. They're not going to be in our parlay.
I watched the Battle of Alberta on Saturday night, the entire game.
Yeah.
Calgary physically handled the Oilers on their home ice.
In
And
Edmonton, right.
when's the last time McDavid scored? I mean, he's on a bad streak of not scoring a goal.
9 games. I
When
think
the
it's 8,
best
9 games
player
now.
on the team, he has to score. He's like, I'm passing a puck. No. We need you back to scoring because that makes everybody else better. So the Oilers are I think they're in big trouble. I'm with you. Cross them off the list in the Western Conference. I don't want anything to do with them. It's not happening.
And you talk about the respect for them, right? They're down 2-0, and they're still only plus 126 at home. Now, it's first period, but usually, right, if you're down 2 goals, you're plus 160, 170.
St. Louis is warranted. They don't protect leads.
All right. Talk Rangers when we come back.
Point guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is InGame Live, prime time, right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for the next, what do we got, 48 minutes or so. We got Cam Stewart joining us in about a half hour or so. We'll go over his golf picks. Don't forget, gave us a nice fat winner last week, 40-1. So hopefully he'll give us another winner because all that money is long gone. That was, we cashed that ticket on Sunday. This is 3 days later gambling. So what have you done for us lately, Cam? So he's under pressure now. We were talking a little hockey there, Dave. I just put the black cloud on Edmonton just so we can talk about how, gutless they are. So I bet the Oilers plus 134 against St. Louis.
Oh, boy.
So all we need really, honestly, it's a halfway decent bet, to be fair, because if they score one goal, cut it to 2-1, then they'll become the favorites again, I would imagine. And then we can hedge with St. Louis. So it won't be a big middle,
100%.
but you'll get plus odds, right? So...
Yeah. You might be able
like
to
the
even
Rangers tonight too.
Take a goal and a half. Yeah, I like the Rangers too. I like this spot where the Rangers come home. I mean, the price reflected it, but they lost. Yeah. They lost that winning streak on Sunday to the Blue Jackets in Columbus. Their big guy beat up Rempe, and they won the game 4-2. Reverse it. Rangers and under tonight. Made perfect sense. I thought Edmonton would get right against the Blues, too. That's a bad start. They're down every game. They give up the first goal pretty much every game. So they're having to play from behind. They're down 2-0. I hope you get your goal before the end of the first period, because if you don't, you probably could get a bigger plus.
I know.
And if the Blues score, you're going to go back and get some more Edmonton, or is this just sit and wait now till they score the next goal?
Just to tick off the Oiler fans, I may bet them again. I may, you know what? Yeah, I may do it again.
Wetzel might be on a mission tonight.
I'm on a mission. Yeah, that's it. If I'm going to write this goofy team off, then it's going to cost me. Absolutely. I'm going to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That kind of reminded me, you mentioned the Ranger thing. Who was the Ranger that got beat up by the Philadelphia Flyer in the playoffs? Dale Schaff? What was his name? Dale. It inspired the Rangers. They won the game in the series, I think, too. Some big goon for, I don't think it was Schultz. I don't think it was Dave Schultz. But some goon for Philadelphia beat up like the smallest guy in the Rangers.
Who was the Ranger? I mean, was it Dave
Yeah.
Schultz?
Maybe it was Schultz. It was Schultz. And the Ranger was Dale. What was his? Dale Schaff, something
Dale
like that.
Talon? Tallon? Was it Dale Talon?
No. I'll Google it next break.
Remember.
It'll come up on YouTube. Just beat him up, small little guy, right? And that inspired the Rangers. So it kind of reminded me when you said that. We need an empty netter. 14 minutes left, laying a goal and a half with the Rangers.
Okay.
So, we were talking about winning the
Tennessee's
cup.
up 84-80, by the way, in college basketball right now. 2.5 minutes to go. So that one's going to fall right around the number. They make a couple free throws here, get up 6, then the foul game starts. Back and forth. If Auburn misses, people are sweating this one right to the end. So that's the big game in college basketball right now that's to be determined. Any NBA that you want to get involved in now? Mavericks are up 10.
I see that. It's not good because our boy Luka only has 20 last time I checked. It's okay if Luka has 20 and they're tied. It's not okay for him to have 20 and be up 12 because then he's going to he's got 24.
Okay.
He'll hit his 34. He'll hit his 34. I don't know if he's going to hit his 40 or 45. Yeah.
He's going to hit his average.
So we're going to have to sweat that one out. It's too bad he had 45 last night. He probably celebrated last night the 45, even though they lost for his birthday, knowing he'd be in Toronto tonight. That's what I'm thinking. Looking at some of these scores, I thought the Bulls were live dogs. I don't know why Cleveland. I know they got a ton of injuries. I do, but in Sacramento, the Queens off to a good start, 13-7 over Denver, but you're not catching any breaks. Still 7.5 for the Nuggets. Nothing there.
Right.
Minnesota. Yeah. How about Minnesota? Down 3, laying 5.5 against Memphis. This Memphis team has nobody, right? You would think.
The in-game number's only 5 right now? Yeah, 5.5 here.
5.5.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably a play, right? Memphis is done. They're getting blown out in situations too. But, then they go and play. Didn't they beat the Bucks? What was that, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, whatever that was? They were huge dogs, and they won the game. I don't know. These NBA games, look, it's – Colby said it, like playing for seeding. I don't think every team's playing for seeding in the NBA, but I think the T-Wolves are one of those teams that are establishing their identity right now. They have had a good season up to this point. Anthony Edwards is electric. The team has – I think they're going to be a tougher out than a lot of people that I talk to. I really do. I think with home court, that place will be buzzing. And there's Cat, and they have inside out. They have Gobert to play defense. They have a lot of things that a team built to make a decent run in the playoffs have. So, it's all Clippers, it's all Nuggets, that's all the futures talk. I think Minnesota's going to be a hard out. I still think OKC's going to be a hard out. Those prices there, I think firmly they should both be ahead of so we finally moved OKC ahead of Phoenix. How Minnesota's below Phoenix, I don't understand it. The respect in the market's got for Phoenix, I know that 3 guys haven't played together, but so what? What if they don't? What if he doesn't come back healthy? I've seen what I've seen. If you had right now your choice, Minnesota, OKC, or Phoenix, how would you rank them as far as what you want going into the playoffs?
I would I'd probably go OKC 1, Minnesota 2, Phoenix 3.
I think we can agree on that order.
Right? Everything's got to go through Denver. You're going to have a guy that's going to be able to match up somehow, some way with the Joker. And I don't think Phoenix has that guy. I think the Joker would, I'd play all his over props in that series. I don't know if OKC does. I think Minnesota does, right? They can either stick Gobert on him. They'll use up his 6 fouls. I'd love to see Cat on him, too. I don't think they would do that just because they don't want to get him in foul trouble. But they got 2 guys, theoretically, like, okay, we're going to beat the hell out of you. Every single game, we're going to use up our 12 fouls. And then we still got Edwards to be our guy. So, you're right, Dave. On paper, Minnesota has it all. They got a superstar, apparently, in Edwards, take the big side shot. You got, definite superstar in Cat. You got the other big guy in the middle to take care of the Joker. You got someone to guard Jamal Murray with Edwards. They have it, but they've always had it. They've, over the last 4 years, they've had it. And yet these guys haven't come through. This year appears to be a little different. Can they play smart basketball down the stretch and not take shots when you're up 9 with a minute and a half left with 20 seconds on the play clock? We'll see. But those are the 3.
It's still bothering
Yeah, I'm
you.
not going to let that go. Yeah, that bugs me still. Even though I won the bet, it still bugs me.
I know.
You take note of those things. You got to play smart.
You have to.
So
yeah, you have to.
But that said, Minnesota's down 3 at the half, laying 5.5. I do like that bet. I'm going to put that in. So, in-game live, PrimeTime continues after this.
Great point guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like we're repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in. It's InGame Live, prime time, right here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, watching the action, hopefully making a couple of shekels along the way as we have a little NBA, a little college basketball, and 2 hockey games to look at. I will say college basketball, I did tell Ranieri in game time decisions that I'd like California tonight, and they're only down 6, 9 minutes left. I was getting 10.5. I saw that line, Dave. I don't know if you saw that, but unless I saw it, like I misremembered, like Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit. That line went up to like 13.5 for some goofy reason, and it was 10.5. So I had already put it in at 10.5, but California's hanging tough, losing by only 7 with 9 minutes left now. So that's good news. I was kind of worried that they would get blown out for some reason.
I got good news for all the Tennessee Volunteer backers. That game went final 92.
What do we got?
84. They win by 8. So if you're getting 7.5, that's a bad loss. Wow. If you're laying 7.5, say thank you, move on, and count that as a win that you had it all the way, because you really didn't have it much of the way until the end.
Yeah.
And you got there. So that's good. So then Ole Miss is up 20-13, 12.5 minutes left there against Alabama. Like that game over. They can't make the number high enough. Alabama is run, gun, shoot, miss, rebound, throw it back out, shoot again. That's one of those ones I think you got to watch. Where were you on the St. John's and Butler game? Peralt and I talked about that earlier today on our show, and it seemed like this was the perfect letdown spot for St. John's, right?
Yeah.
He comes in that white suit. They beat up Creighton. They got to go on a road to Butler, and their small dogs closed 1. They're up 37-28 with a minute to go in the first half. St. John's, are they getting hot? Yeah. Is this
wow?
Is the Big East back? Because you're old enough to remember when the Big East was the Big East. And have you been to the Garden for the Big East tournament?
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. Not recently,
it's a big deal.
But definitely. Oh, it's very, very big. A lot of fun here, and I always loved college basketball. So it's the one time it kind of like but way back when with the Patrick Ewing at St. John's, you had Villanova, you had them all. That was just like the creme de la creme of college basketball, right? So it's not back to that level, but it's definitely helped. I think the Big East was all happy when Rick Pitino went to St. John's. Feeling pretty confident he's going to turn that thing around. It's been a long time since they've had some meaningful seasons. So I did like Butler tonight, though. I must say I thought that would be a tough spot. They've blown a number, which prompted Pitino to go off on his little rant there a week and a half ago. They've blown 6 games in the Big East alone where they've had the lead. So if they blow this game at this point, Dave, it's like, oof, what's he going to say now?
Yeah. I don't know. That's one of those ones. I feel like, not that it's a must win because, everybody will make the postseason tournament, but if the team that wins this will actually be not favored to make the tournament, but will have a much better chance. The loser of this game, big uphill battle. And the way the Big East tournament is structured, those teams that play the first couple games really have no shot. Let's be honest. Yeah. They don't have a shot of winning the Big East tournament, and most of the time that means they have no shot of actually making the big dance. So, a lot on the line in that game. What's the total for the Virginia BC game right now? What are we looking at for that total? Because I was with you. I like the under.
I will tell you the Bama
game.
total is 173.5. So you're right about that as far as
that's good.
That's going way over. That's a beautiful thing. Well, I shouldn't say way over because it's a big number.
Well,
but
it's going over.
Let us see. Where is Virginia? 126.5?
22-17. Yeah. Okay.
That's the number it was to start.
Sitting right at the original number. Okay. So we're back on pace there. All right.
How about, I know this is maybe not up your alley, UIC, which sucks, is leading Drake, who's pretty good, 71-63, 8 minutes left to go second half. Boy, you can get Drake plus 5.5. UIC's got like 3 wins in the conference. 3-4 wins tops in the Missouri
This
Valley.
is your old stomping grounds, huh? That's your school.
The Valley's
yeah.
Yeah, that's my conference.
All right.
So
they don't get more than one team in
the
the big dance, right? They get one team in.
Yeah, they get one. Yeah, I tell you, Dave, we did this Saturday or Sunday? Oh, Sunday. Yeah, me and Mr. Smiles there, Mark Zino. Good buddy of mine. Zino. All right, always fun. Going through the teams and just saying, okay, we looked at each conference and came up with how many at-large bids you think each conference will get, right? So long story short, we came up with 44, Mark and I. And there's only 36 at-large bids. And we were talking, I was like, Mark, there are going to be a lot of good teams, a lot this year, that are not getting bids. I mean, usually I go through this drill, and I come up with about 33 to 38 tops. And usually I can't even find enough. 44, like legitimate teams that have a realistic shot. There's going to be a lot of teams, that are not getting in this year. Because the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10, they're gobbling up like literally almost half of the bids. Literally. I mean,
yeah, I think
there's not that many others.
The Big 10's gonna be less than people think. Just unless
I think the Big 12
something crazy happens with that tournament in Indianapolis, I don't see them getting a lot of teams in. I mean, like Minnesota's playing Illinois tonight. Colby talked about that game. Not that Minnesota is going to beat Illinois, but I mean, Illinois should be in. Purdue's in. Wisconsin, I think, is in. After that, I don't know. Like Michigan State was always in. They're not in. Indiana's not in. Minnesota's not in. Ohio State's trying to play their way in. They're not in now, but they're so much better since they fired the coach. They've had a couple really big, I think they call them quad 1 wins or whatever the terms is.
Yeah,
how about all the terms that come out of the woodwork in March? You know, it's February 20th, but the quad 1 wins and the this and the that. I can't keep track of it. I really can't. We talk about it all the time. I don't know what's a quad 1 win, what's a quad 2 win. How many does two quad 2 wins equal a quad 1 win? Is that enough to get you in? How many tournament wins do you have to get in? All these things. It starts to just make my head go, oh, and then the committee picks 9 teams out of the Big East anyway, or 9 teams out of the Big 12, and you go, what do we do all that work for? Why do we make a number for this team? It's confusing.
Yeah, it really, I mean, you look at the SEC, they're probably going to get 6. Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Florida. The Big 12, people say they're going to get 7 in addition to the automatic bid, so that's 13. The Big 10, I got down for 5, with Michigan State, which I think will still get in. Illinois, Wisconsin. Okay. I think Northwestern and Nebraska could get bids. So, now you're almost at 20 with 3 conferences, right?
Yeah.
So you got 16 bids left for all the other conferences. And you're right. Like the Big 12, the coach from Clemson ripped the Big 12 because the Big 12 schedules a lot of cupcakes non-conference, beat the hell out of them, so they upgrade their conference, and then they just all beat each other, and then, that they all become quadrant wins because, one left's beating right, and right's beating central, and central's beating left. So they all get credit for quality wins when it's all based on the easy non-conference schedule that they have.
You know who used to do that? You know where they got that playbook from? The ACC.
Right.
Where they were, right? That's, I mean, that's the pot calling the kettle black.
It's like the SEC in football. Yeah.
Right. This is not a new blueprint to success. The college football playoff is going to change a lot of that. But for a coach in the ACC to be talking about other conferences scheduling cream puffs at the beginning to boost their conference is kind of ironic because the ACC used to get almost the most teams in a big dance every year. I mean, it was UNC, NC State, Duke, Wake Forest, Clemson, just Maryland. Go down the list. Georgia Tech used to get in all the time. Those teams used to. It was the semi. Everyone from the ACC except 3 teams were in it. Now they're down a little bit, and I would caution against talking about other teams playing their schedules and all that other stuff. I can't wait to see what Cam comes with the golf. This golf is going to be all over the board. He's going to be wound up. There's no hockey to distract him, although I hope he has St. Louis, because if he has Edmonton, he's going to come in mad. I don't want him to come in mad.
Yeah.
I want him to come in relaxed. You know,
he was mad last night. He was having some technical issues. He was mad last night.
He was mad at Toronto, too. He came in,
in Toronto. Right.
The Maple Leafs didn't help his mood. That was a terrible performance.
Arizona State for Cam. Arizona State.
Dog. It's not even a question. The Oregon State one is the question. That's right. I don't know. Because Oregon State.
I think he's going to go dog. I think he's going dog both ways.
Dog.
Yeah. We'll find out.
A great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. And they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
welcome back. It's in-game live, prime time here, 40 past the hour. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, joined by our good buddy Cam, Mr. Golf Stewart, and we'll get to Golf's picks here in a second by Cam, right, Cam? But we need an empty netter. Word has it that the Rangers may have scored. Until I see, of course, I'm about a minute and a half behind.
It's good, Scott.
Rangers lead
it's 3-1, buddy.
2-1. What do we got, Cam?
But let's not
3-1,
not hit the clapping button until I. You know what? I've always learned something. When people text me, no. Does it say F? Final? Till I see final, nothing. Dave knows working in the book. I've seen too many things happen before. Miss bets on extra point. The worst is when your team goes up 3-1, and the other team, they scored with 4 seconds left. It's like, what? Is it over? 4-1. Oh, Jack, give me more. Okay, now, Scott, you can give me the old Wetzel. No dark cloud, no rain, no winds, no hurricane. Let's go. 4-1
No
Rangers.
one beats the boys in Vegas but us three. There you go. Take
Fantastic.
that. Here we go. Scott, no. I don't tempt fate with Gambler. He runs the show. The minute I get cocky, he puts me right back down where I need to be in my place. So I beg of you, please, can I have another golf winner this week? But in basketball, guys, I took a look, and this team really, you know what's interesting? This first quarter, first stuff half, I know a lot of people do it, and I've done more of it this week because I won money in golf. I don't like it. Other than I won with the Sharks last night, and they got murdered for the rest of the game. I expect Chicago to come out hot. Cleveland murders them in the first. Now they're coming back. I thought the Rangers would jump all over Columbus because Columbus beat them. Broke their 10-game winning streak. No, it's 0-0 after the first. There's no lock. I don't know, I'm not a psychiatrist, whatever. I'm just going to bet the damn game or bet a team when they're down. I don't know, Dave, what you think your strategy is with first quarters and first half, but it doesn't go according to plan as much as people think it does. That's my opinion.
No, I equate it to, and because we've done so many shows together, I know how to speak your language sometimes. It's like ordering appetizers that you don't really need, but they're on the happy hour special. So do you want the fried pickles? But their price is right, so you get
wings.
No,
I don't need fried pickles. I want wings.
Yeah, but I mean, you get the mozzarella sticks because they're okay. But so you start to dabble in first quarter, first half, and all that other stuff. The book gives you that to distract you from the wings because that's what you want, the main course. I tell people that all the time. The other hockey game tonight, Cam, before we get to the golf, has the Blues at Edmonton. Nobody can figure out Edmonton. They keep making the price ridiculous. You're on the Blues, right? I knew
I am.
For sure.
I took the Blues plus 1.5. Part of the Rangers with the Rangers parlay. Now that the Rangers won that game, I'm in a good situation here. I almost hope St. Louis scores the next goal, and we'll see what I can get Edmonton at. It'll probably be plus 1.5, not 2.5, Dave, because they're favorites, right? So it'll have to be a good number to plus
scored,
money.
By the way.
Here we go. Here comes the fight. If I were to ask you guys, I did coast to coast with Carver today. What team in the National Hockey League has won the most units? Who would you say? Who's up the most money? My guess was Detroit, and they were second.
Vancouver.
They're third.
I'd say Vancouver just because no one expected them. Yeah, third.
I was going to say Detroit.
Detroit second. St. Louis is first. I went, what? Carver showed me the board. I'm I go, that's a Chiron mistake. I go, Frank Font, what are you doing to me? No, it's really at 9.3 units. Yeah, it was. We went through the whole thing. It just want to know why, Scott? Because they're plus 230 all the time against good teams. It's just they're only a few. They're above 500, but they get mispriced in the market. People look at the St. Louis Blues like they're the Arizona Coyotes, but they're actually just a team that's probably going to grind for a playoff spot. But they're always mispriced. All the time. They're huge dogs. At home, they're dogs. I was going through their ledger. You know what I mean? At home, plus 120 when they should be minus 115 or minus 120. They really get no respect. I'm not a fan of the team or anything, but from a betting perspective, Detroit was my guess, guys, because I've been betting Detroit this year, and that's one team that is come through, and Vancouver's come through most of the time, except for last night. Oh, God, Dave, I screwed up last night. I went too hard on that game, and then me and Gabe had the under, and Penguins tied it up, and I'm just oh God, I'm just a sitting duck. And then I won the first period with the Sharks, and then the best is the Sharks scored the first goal and the last goal. New Jersey scored 7 in between.
7 in between.
Yeah.
I'm the announcer's Mackenzie Blackwood's not coming back. We're bringing in Kakinen. I'm Kakinen, I'm done. This guy first
None.
shot, scores.
Finished.
I'm just like, oh,
Yep.
here we go. Thank God for the over.
No good.
Yeah.
Let's get to the golf because, listen,
Sure.
last week was great. You put Nap on the map and
nice,
to a
Dave.
lot of people, and
Well
it was
played.
outstanding. You got to have, I mean, we're into Florida. Everything kind of changes. I know you know this course. There's a lot of things happening. What do you got?
I'll tell you guys something, too. I look at stuff. Where's the California guys? They're not here. It's one of these things. A lot of these tournaments in Florida, the best guys they're afraid to play in this tournament. This course can eat you up. If the winds come up, Dave, I've seen 8-shot leads disintegrate in 4 holes. This is the best live betting tournament you guys will ever see. Watch it on Sunday if you got a chance. I've seen Daniel Berger blow a 6-shot lead going into the finals a couple of years ago, too. There's water on 15 holes. This used to be the Honda Classic. I was asking, what the hell's Cognizant? Apparently, Joe Lisi, hey, it's a AI company. Hey, Cam, you idiot. Yeah, it's like, that's what it is. It's our artificial intelligence. Well, I know. I'm like, great. That's what I'm betting on. Some robot's going to take my money on top of the sports book. Don't need it. Let's start. We're going to go with Russell Henley. Smooth like the Eagles. Hotel California, baby. 25-1. Georgia Bulldog. Watch out. Top 10s left, right, and center at this tournament. There's a theme coming here. Eric Cole. He went to Nova Southeastern. Dave, I went, what school is that? I could tell you one thing. It's in Florida. So we got guys right now. Florida players, no Florida surfaces. Cole is my guy. Wetzel, this is the week. I know I've been telling you about Eric Cole. Former Carolina Hurricane great. 30-1. This is the week. I think he can get it done. Burger time. Florida State Seminoles. Here's the thing. Burger had a medical injury. He's been getting better every single week. He has lost in a playoff in this tournament. He has blown a 4th-round lead this tournament. He is, every time he tees it up at the old Honda Classic, Daniel Berger is on page 1 of the leaderboard. I will take the 38-1. The book should have gave me more, but I don't care. Shane Lowry, the Irish Bear, love this guy at 45-1. Sepp Straka, don't let the Austrian flag fool you. Georgia and Brendan Wu. So a lot of SEC, ACC guys who love to play the local courses. Also, you know who does well in Florida? It's surprising. Canadians. Canadians have always done well on this surface. Want to know why? A lot of our courses, like Florida, the grass, lots of winds blowing, a lot of water on our tour. Matt Fitzpatrick, you're not going to get a number for a top 20 like this. He should be like literally minus 140. Why? He's out of form a little bit. But I'll tell you, this guy is a great low ball hitter. He can do it all. He's a U.S. Open champion as well. Corey Connors. Do we have a theme here? Plus 180. Steven Jagerbaum. Hey, Dave, you like to throw a couple Jagerbaums down when you're celebrating wins at the book. Plus 190. And Adam Svensson, another Canadian who's had great success at this tournament before. Thank you very much, Frank Font. I appreciate it. Oh, look at these graphics. You guys, oh my God, you got a picture of Matt Wallace. People are like, who the hell's Matt Wallace? I like him for a top 40. The Englishman didn't play. He literally, on Sunday, he was there last week. He could have won the tournament. He had a rough Sunday. Guys, I'm taking a shot. Me and Carver both said, Old man Padraig, top 40, plus 300. Dave, I did some deep diving. Padraig Harrington is the biggest hitter on the senior tour. This course is 7,100 yards. He has won this tournament before, beating Daniel Berger in a playoff. Padraig Harrington, when me and Carver both had Harrington at top 40, we lost our minds. I was thinking the exact same thing. So those are guys that I'm looking at for the golf right now. I have a feeling we might have another winner. Scott, if we get another winner, buddy, I might have to tell Morency, sorry, I'm not betting any other sports. It's just golf for me. I mean, literally, I'm just going to go on the Hooters tour, ladies, old guys, whatever. Bernard Langer. I'm just I don't know why I waste my money with other stuff. To be honest with you, golf's my bag. I enjoy it.
Well, good news is I'm trying to put your bets in now, and FanDuel, as they do on occasion, all of a sudden realize that I'm not here in New York for some goofy reason, so they can't find my location. So I can't put the bet in. So that obviously I can do it tonight later on, but I get the itch to do it now.
Yes, a warning to everybody. This is not, and Dave, we like to take the nap in the morning. I do after the show, wake up. You better get your bets in. We're on the East Coast now. That 3-hour difference is gone. These jokers are teeing it up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Don't screw around. There's no wake. When you wake up, if you want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's your bag. But I'm going to tell you, I put them in tonight. The minute before I hit this big dome on the pillow, my bets are in. That's what you got to do.
When they're back on the East Coast, it all changes. everything in the book. You set the timer earlier. Cam, what's the weather? I mean, I know it's in Florida, but is this
really good?
Are we expecting winds, or is it going to be pretty smooth sailing for 4 rounds?
Pretty smooth, but it changes on a dime at PGA National, and that's the thing. It's a really, really interesting course. If the winds blow a certain way, Dave, you got to be really careful because there's water.
Oh, it's brutal.
Water is this course's defense. And I'll tell you, they have the Valspar coming up is my favorite tournament of the year. They have a big, gigantic statue of a snake. He's like mean and thick. I'll tell you, man, these tournaments are mean, man. I love me and Carver talked about it. I love the Florida swing. Like everyone goes, oh, California golf, Dave, it's nice and easy. But you know what? This tournament, you got to have more shots in the bag. There's way more danger. There's way, like, you know what I mean? The water, the wind, it's really good golf. And it's my favorite golf to bet on. And the Players is coming up. Guys, we're under a month away from the Masters, too. Like, literally, the Masters is like, it's creeping up on us really quick. It's going to be around the corner.
You know, you got McIlroy. You got McIlroy in this tournament, Cam, and he's 7-1. The next choice is 22-1. I mean, know. Is he like the main guy in this tournament? Like he should be that much of a, that's a 3-1 favorite over everybody else.
The thing about McIlroy is he has all the shots. Carver took him for a top 10 at plus money. I didn't. But the thing is, I'm not betting Rory McIlroy for the fact that he could win this tournament by 8 shots, or he could have a lead on Sunday and take a 9 on a par 5. I don't know what this guy's going to do. Like, that's the whole thing. As I said before, he doesn't minimize damage. For a guy who's one of the best players in the world, I'm like, wow. The problem, guys, betting against Rory is if his driver's working, he just murders the ball. Like, he hits it. Like, I don't think people understand, guys. It's kind of like Sidney Crosby, Dave. We talked about his legs, his tree trunks. Rory McIlroy's ripped. And this guy, I don't know, he just, like, he hits the driver like 360. If the winds are carrying, he could just absolutely crush it. I really worry about him, but Scott, at that price, I got to go elsewhere.
Cam, is this one of those tournaments, and I know it depends on the wind, but are they posting up about a 15 under to win it? Is that around the number?
I'm going to think that's a great call, Dave. I'm thinking tops 15. If the winds pick up, it'll be like 8 under, 8 to 10.
So you're telling me I got to clear the calendar on Sunday and make sure the account's loaded like it was for Riviera, because there's going to be some volatility in the prices, and you're going to have something by Friday to give me to do for the weekend, like you did last time.
You're so right, buddy. And I'll tell you, 6-shot lead went down the tubes last year. Chris Kirk, the guy hit a Honda in the water, was going to win, then he gagged, and then he beat Eric Cole in the playoff. Like, there were going to be swings to plus money in this thing. Like, I'm telling you, it is the best. I got to clear my calendar because the way hockey and basketball is going with these totals, I need golf magic. So we'll say first round leader, 2 guys. I'll put one out for you. Adam Svensson. Carver and I both took him 60-1. The Canadian first round leader.
Arizona or Arizona State?
Arizona State. Give me the dog, even though they reek. And I'll take Oregon State. Too.
Oregon State.
Small plays. I can't screw around with the NCAA right now. It killed me. I had Colorado State last night. See that ending? That wasn't fun.
Oh,
yeah. I went nuts. Yeah.
Buzzer beater.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going, hey, here we go.
That was
not so much, guys. No, that's life.
All right, Cam Stewart, top of the hour. Take it over.
guard, a great big that can block shots, a team that can play defense, and seniors that can put the ball in the hole. That's who you bet on. You don't bet on freshmen. You don't bet on teams that don't play defense. There you go.
I mean, you got to run the guy over to call a foul in a tie game in that kind of a spot. That was a bad job by those refs.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Lakers lose by double digits last night on the road in Phoenix against the Suns. The Suns get their first victory following the All-Star break, winning by 10 in covering.
Anthony Davis played 42 minutes in that game. LeBron James played 37 minutes in a loss. This is the same thing. It's like repeating this over and over and over. Sure, do you want to win these basketball games? Yes, but you sort of say to yourself, all right, at what cost do we have?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Like the Minnesota Wild were down by 2 goals today. They were down by 3 goals, actually, today at one point. and they came back and won. Like teams like, the Edmonton Oilers and the Coyote game went back and forth. The NHL really, you could argue, really is the best sport for in-game betting, where you can pull the trigger on both teams.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, In-Game Live, PrimeTime, wrapping up shop. Another quick 2-hour little show here. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan. Thanks again to Cam Stewart, who takes over top of the hour with Gabe Morency on the radio and TV side of things. So back to the board here, Dave, for a couple of minutes. I will say the Mavericks beat Toronto 136-125. We both like that, right? That came through. Luka did not. On his birthday, in a relatively close game, too. He only goes for 30, gets the triple-double, but all of a sudden he wants to pass the basketball. 16 assists tonight. 16!
Wow.
You don't celebrate assists on your birthday, you mope. You celebrate points.
I like
45
that,
killed us yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. But the PRA, that's what the kids call the points, rebounds, and assists, the PRA, that gets there. He had a good night with the PRA. So he went over that number. Listen, I got it on. I pay attention to the pre-show meeting and all this other stuff. It's supposed to throw out our best live bet right now. It's got to be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm looking at this number going, this is perfect. Okay. Well, they're going to start to expand the lead. It was 3.5 when we went to commercial. It just went to 5.5. They're going to score the next bucket. If they do, it's going to go to 6.5. Grab the T-Wolves while you can. Wetzel, what's the Creighton score?
All right.
I'm afraid to ask. What's the Creighton score? Please give me good
I'm afraid
news.
to give it. Yeah, it's good news. Creighton 38, Seton Hall 22.
Let's go.
17.5 is now the in-game line number.
Hello. Wow. Let's go Blue
Looking
Jays.
Pretty good.
I like
Let's go Blue Jays.
What a couple of days we're having.
Virginia, Boston College. 50 points at the half. They're giving you an over-under of 115.5. I'd still go under. Under. Virginia games. No better bet year in, year out, as long as Tony Bennett is there. You bet just that, and you'll win money at the end of the year. Dave, enjoy the rest of the week, my friend.
Oh, Clippers!